Alright, so I'm going to do another eBay junk lot, but before we dig into the box, I wanted to kind of show you something stupid I'm doing and maybe ask for help with it. The laser active videos, they were awesome because I had a top-down view of the console sitting over here, right? And the bad part about it was every time I hit the table with anything, tools, whatever, or this stupid office chair creaked, it would transfer right into the microphone of that top-down setup because I had the tripod sitting on this table. So what I've done right now is I've actually attached the tripod to the wall. I know, it's ridiculous, but I think it's going to help with the audio quite a bit. But if anybody knows of some kind of camera crane that I could attach to the wall and just kind of like move the camera wherever I want and have a bunch of different angles, that'd be awesome. Because if I could bring the camera and like set it next to my head and you could see the same angle I'm seeing, then I wouldn't worry so much about, you know, having to see what you're seeing. That's why this is the top-down camera is showing on the TV, because trying to look all the way up there, you know, to see your viewfinder, your view screen or whatever is terrible. You know, seeing it on that TV is perfect, so I can work on stuff and see it up there. And, you know, I can just quickly glance and make sure that whatever I'm working on is in frame. And that worked really well on the laser active videos, but, you know, just the video or the audio problems had to be solved. And yes, a new office chair is definitely in the works. But anyway, let's dig into this next eBay junk lot and see what we can repair. Alright, this one's kind of cool because it comes from Rock 30 Games. They're out in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I spent a ton of time in Bismarck, North Dakota. I spent a lot of time in North Dakota, but Bismarck was one of the places that I would stay in the hotel a lot because I used to work in the farming industry on ag equipment, and I would travel in the Great Plains states a lot, and I spent a ton of time there. Matter of fact, I think it was was it spring of 11 or maybe spring of 10 I was out there, and they had really, really bad flooding problems. Went up north to Minot, which is kind of north central North Dakota, maybe a little bit to the west, and I almost got kicked out of my hotel room because all the people that were down in the flood areas booked hotel rooms, you know, local rooms, and I hadn't booked mine long enough for my whole stay. So yeah, and I actually drove by there one time, Rock 30 Games, and I think even at that point I had recognized the name from eBay, because even way back then I was buying broken stuff off of them, I think. And if I remember right, at that time it was just it was a brick and mortar store, but it was just kind of like in a little strip mall off the side of the highway. It wasn't nothing special, but of course I didn't go in either. So anyway, they had this lot up here, and I put an offer in, and it was immediately accepted, and I ended up paying about $110 shipped. And you can probably already tell right away why I wanted it. We have another TGCD, and it has a TG16 on it. It is quite dirty though, but just the TGCD itself, you know, if I can get that working, that's probably worth at least 110, right? Model 2 Sega Genesis. It is not one of the rarer ones. I can't remember what version, but if you look at the shielding back here, if it only comes like halfway across the vents, then it's kind of a more sought after version of this. And I think it was missing a foot there too. It was one of those threads on Sega 16 forum, Sega-16 I believe, where they talked about the different variations of Genesis models and whatnot, and what was the best one. And I believe that was, and of course this was years ago when I did that. I went through and looked at all of mine and found that I did actually have one of those rarer ones. Same thing with the 2600 Junior. There is also a super rare version of the 2600 Junior. but I don't remember what the identifier was. Well, this one's all cracked. There's nothing in the bottom of the box. It wasn't packed super well, I'll admit that, but I don't think it was because of the packaging. And there is a few pieces of plastic in there, but there's no big chunk, so that was obviously broken before it was shipped. I usually don't get the small rainbow. I usually have the one that has the full rainbow on the bottom. But there's something, I think it was something on the outside you could look at to see. It may have been the ground plane, actually. If you look down in there, it's kind of a hash fill, kind of a checkered pattern. But I don't remember what that identifier was. We'll look at that later. And we got a light sixer. Luckily none of the switch posts were broken off. Super dirty, but not super terrible shape. Of course, I've got dozens of these. I don't really give two shits about the 2600. I have a ton of ColecoVisions. I definitely don't need any more. That is definitely not the right controller for this console. I believe there was some other model that used the white ones. I don't really keep up with Coleco. There's a big broken vent right there. That sucks. That sticker's completely gone. A little bit of corrosion down there, not too bad. I haven't done any Coleco videos, I don't think. A random foot stuck to the side of the console. It's not even for this console. This one's missing 3 feet. That one's kind of I can see a missing screw. Missing there too. Somebody's been into it. Sometimes you'll see people put the tape on the sides just to keep the two halves together, and that might be what's happening here. I don't know. Nope, it's screwed together. So I was thinking maybe those 4 posts were broken, but I think it's alright. So I don't know why the tape was on there. Is there not a cover for the front expansion port? I don't know. So that's what's in the box. Those 4 feet are there, and they're kind of rounded. And they're not stuck in there, are they? I can rotate them. That's different. That one might be stuck on. Well, there's another random foot. That one might actually be off the Coleco. Looks, yeah, might be. It's not going to stay on there, though. All the sticky stuff is gone. Alright, so I thought I'd start with the Coleco. I almost didn't even mess with this one because I was searching my house for an AC adapter. And I'd come to find out I don't have any Coleco stuff in the house. It's all out in the garage in storage. And I went out there, I thought, well, if it's buried, I'm not going to mess with it. But it was right there on top. If you don't know, the Coleco has a really weird AC adapter setup. I think there's, oh gosh, how many different outputs are there? 3, plus 5 volts, minus 5 volts, and plus 12 volts. So I actually did find an AC adapter, and I made a note, says it was good. Of course, I probably haven't touched this, and ooh, I don't know. Could be upwards of at least 6 years. So I'm hoping at least the AC adapter is good. But the Coleco is RF output only. Looks like it's set for channel 3. Oh, and I looked at the eBay auction, and just, I think Rock 30 pretty much has like a template auction for lots of bad junk, because there was nothing specific about it other than, you know, they said stuff doesn't work. That's basically what it said. Shit, I need a Coleco game. I believe I do have one of those available somewhere here. Yeah, I found a whole stack of games. Big surprise. I can actually kind of see something. Sometimes the RF switch itself gets crusty. Sometimes you can just try a different channel. That sure didn't help. Well, I've seen that help a couple top loaders before, and I can see the game. There's something there. Be damn if I know how to actually start it though. I don't even know that the controllers work. But, I mean, to me that means it's working. It's just a video output problem. I know there's a lot of problems with the main switch, and what was it? I can't remember. I think it's actually Yerky, the guy that's the US distributor for NES RGB, that had a lot of Coleco mods, kind of how-tos, and I believe he did something with the RAM to maybe where you didn't need the 12 volt. I can't remember. But it seems like he had a component mod for this as well. Yeah, whatever. I'm not real interested in Coleco right now, so to me that's working. It just doesn't have a very good video output, so I'm going to call it on this one. Just probably put this in the pile with the rest of the ColecoVisions, which I only have a couple maybe, and just get to it at some later date. Alright, so let's try the Genesis. And it says right there, use the 2103, which is that one. Has a normal polarity on it, but it has a not so normal tip, and I can't remember what that is. Like 5.5 by 2, or maybe not even 2. And this one does not have RF, so we have to use this special connector. I think this one works on the Model 2 as well as the Sega Genesis or Sega CDX. I think that's what I used it on last time. And get a US game. Ugh. We may already be into problems. Got a couple contacts that are not looking so good. Get you a close-up. How about that? One of them sticking out too far, it looks okay, and the other one's kind of mangled looking. little harder to get on camera than I thought. But we'll give it a try. Probably not going to hurt the game. I didn't have the PVM turned on. I do have red LEDs. Can you see that? I haven't hooked up the controller because I'm not sure it's going to be necessary. It's also possible this isn't the right AV cord. I have in my head that maybe I'm just thinking of the Model 1, but it's a whole different size. I got 0 response on the TV. No, I'm not on the right one. Okay, so we've got power, you know, some kind of response on the TV. But nothing looks like video. That's why I keep thinking maybe this is the wrong pinout. I'd have to actually look at the pinout and make sure this one is actually the proper one. It's just composite and mono. Let's take a look. So yeah, I think that's the proper cord to get composite out of this, and we're just not getting it. And honestly, not really worried about the Model 2 Genesis either. Especially in this lot, what I'm really worried about is the TGCD, but I don't think these things are neither rare nor sought after, and therefore not really valuable. So let's move on to something else. And in case you were wondering, I am putting notes on them, no AV, so that however many years down the road when I do actually work on this, I have some clue what's going on with it. I might actually put power OK on it too, you know, just because. Okay, let's try the Light 6er. I do have an adapter for that to plug directly into the coax input of the TV. So it shouldn't matter what channel we're on. Didn't spark. Hey, look at that. That could just be my TV again. It doesn't seem to want to hone in on the color. I guess it doesn't matter what channel it's on. There it is. Full color. Uh-oh. Selecting starter a little bit crusty. Look at that. Guess I could get you up a little bit higher here, couldn't I? So, once again, a fully working console. Yep, even the black and white works. Fully working console sold as not working. So I read up on the Junior Unicorn again, and I think only the long rainbow ones are Unicorn, but more importantly, that ground fill is solid on the Unicorn. The Unicorn is a 1-chip Junior. I mean, almost all Atari 2600s have 3 chips in them, and for some reason they made a very limited number of the one with just the 1 chip. Let's see. I do, yeah. Okay. This is also pretty freaking common. Sometimes it'll just be that jack is super corroded, which this one is. You won't get a good connection on it. But it's working. It's just very poor video and audio output. Well, to me that works. I get this all the time where the RF output is crap, but as soon as you do an AV mod, then it's totally fine and clear. So I'm going to call this one working. Okay, let's do the TGCD. Now it does say to use HES-ACA-02 or -03. I have an original TGCD AC adapter. It's the -03 reverse polarity, and it's 11 volt 1.3 amp. That's probably just BS. You could use 12 volts and 1.5 amp or more. Probably could actually do a little bit less. Honestly, I really doubt this thing is pulling 1.5 amps. The tip, actually it might be a little larger on the ID. So that might be the only special thing about it. Matter of fact, I can probably just plug in one of my NES. Nope, it won't go in. So yeah, it needs a little bit larger ID plug. So whatever that is, 3 or 3.5 mil, 5.5 by 3. Let's see. US game, and it's got regular composite output. So you got to turn on the bottom power switch, which locks it, and that was not all the way in, but still locking. I think as long as that bar will come across and lock it, that thing doesn't actually need to be fully clockwise. Zero response. Ooh, somebody tried to LED mod that. Huh. There's a nice little hole and the orange sticker, which I used to do that. That's a pretty cool place to put it because it hides it whenever it's off. So let's try the TG16 on its own, and it has a different AC adapter. The original one is 10.5 volt DC, 730 milliamp. Again, BS. Actually, I'm pretty sure, let's see, that's a reverse polarity again. I'm pretty sure that I've ran these on 9 volts. Just a reverse polarity 9 volt. And I believe it's actually a normal tip size. But again, it is RF output only. Channel 3. Well, that's cool. At least we got a working TG16. So once again, we might have a bad dock station one way or another. So I think we might make this a part 2, or break this up into a second part, or actually dig into this and figure out what's going on. Oh, that's right, I forgot. There may still be hope here. Not only do you have to lock the bottom, but you also have to lock the CD, even if there's no CD in place. may have been what tripped up whoever was testing this. Well, there goes my eBay junk lot repair video down the drain because most of it worked. Matter of fact, I think the Genesis Model 2 is the only thing that actually didn't truly work. So, I mean, it's a little dirty, but 110 bucks for that is a deal, let alone the other stuff. And I guess I'll put a sticker on it that says it's all okay and put it up for now. Yeah, maybe we'll dig into a couple of the other consoles. Well, I just realized I can't move on yet because the TGC repair video that I just did taught me that the TG16 side of the dock can work without the CD side of the dock working. So I need to test it with a CD player and a game. And if I really want to do some testing, I should try to put a save on the dock and see if it lasts. Let's go ahead and format it, I guess. There were no files apparently. Well, it looks like a game works. Let's see if we get audio. Yep. Okay, so now let me figure out how to put a save on it. Well, I think the easiest way I found is I put my Turbo EverDrive in, and I loaded Boxy Boy and went to the editor, or construction. Automatically loaded it. Let's see if it remembers it after resetting console here. Okay. There it is. Okay. So there's the save. Now, technically, I should be able to come back in a couple weeks and it would still be there. I don't think it's really supposed to last longer than a few weeks though, because the save is backed by a capacitor, which does, slowly lose its charge. So probably not going to show that, but that is a good test for the save feature of the TGCD dock. Now let's move on. Alright, so let's take a look inside of this thing just quickly to see if there's anything obvious. Four black screws. It looks like we have a bunch of screws for the top shield. Looks like that one and that one are black, and the rest are whatever they're called, yellow zinc. Ton of them, huh? Oh, there's another black one over here. Well, it's very clean. No surface mount caps, they're all leaded or radial through holes.
capacitor array. I don't see that too often. Some random hair inside of it, but get the two for the connector off here. Those are obvious different. Got to kind of tilt it out because the connectors stick out the front. 0 components on the bottom side. And all the solder connections look fine. I'd say that's probably the common problem, is the solder connectors on the actual AV port get broken, but those all look fine. Same with the power port and the cart connector. Unfortunately, there's nothing obvious. So, I don't know, it might just be the pins. So I've never actually tried to pull any of these, but it looks like possibly, I don't know. Sometimes you have to pull them out the bottom, sometimes you can pull them out the top, and I've never messed with the Segas. On the Nintendos, on the top loader and Navy Famicom, I've done videos about those. But I don't know. Alright, so I took apart my US game. It's just the 4.5mm security bit to get it apart. And all I really want to do is check continuity. Because if I've got continuity on that pin, make a little mark here so I know which ones I'm looking at. Let's see. Looks like that one actually goes. I have to trace one. That one's sticking out though. It's mostly that one that's mangled. Actually, now that I move the cart, I can actually watch the pins. And it looks like the one that was sticking way out doesn't move. I'd say I'd say both of them have continuity because they both move when I insert it. They both move back quite a bit. But it should be simple enough to check through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is the mangled one. Make sure I'm good in the right mode. Yep. Well, it ain't the pin. I actually wasn't really expecting that it would be though. Well, the one other easy thing I could do is put the thermal camera on it. But the only thing I'm seeing is the main chip. You know, it's only 105 And looks like that's the diode. That's the heatsink for what I believe is a 7805. I'm not positive about that. But the rest of the board is pretty quiet. See that? That's the oscillator, or crystal. If I move right, I can get heat to show on it, but that's just a reflection. See, that's just my hand moving, reflecting off that shiny surface. So nothing really jumps out there either. That's just the LED and resistor up front.
Well, it didn't really make for that great of a video, but I still hope you enjoyed it. It was good for me, you know, because I didn't end up having to repair much of anything. The Sega Genesis Model 2 is about the only thing that really didn't work. And until I get more knowledge and experience under my belt, I just don't want to deal with them. You know, I've got other things that take priority over that, mostly just because of what they're worth. You know, the value is not there to repair this thing, especially since also, you know, the shell itself is in really not good shape. So I don't know, we're gonna call it on this one. I'll just make this a one-parter. Comment if you have any ideas what to do with this thing. Maybe I'll revisit it.